everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of KittyCatGO Live, where we discuss various topics related to traveling and adventuring with your cat. I'm your host, Emily Hall, and tonight we'll be chatting about road tripping, flying, and staying new places overnight with your cat. If you're watching with us tonight, be sure to say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. Questions are encouraged along the way as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. Our special guest for the evening is Janiss Garza and her cat, Summer. Summer is a Somali cat who is a professional model, an animal actor, and who volunteers at hospitals and other facilities as a therapy cat. She has traveled all over the United States and even to Canada, and appeared as a celebrity at cat shows and conventions. All this is possible through early socialization and training, the latter given by Janiss. While not a professional animal trainer, Janiss is a longtime cat writer and photographer and dedicated student of the cat-human bond. All right, Janiss, Summer, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah. Hi, I'm glad to be here. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I know we've been talking a lot in my Facebook group over the past few weeks about road tripping, flying, and staying in hotels and stuff. And there's been a lot of good discussion and questions. And so I'm really looking forward to diving in and chatting about this with you. I know you and Summer travel all over the place. And, we've met you guys at conventions and stuff before, all in different places of the country. So I know you have lots of tips and tricks to share.
Sure, I do. So I'm ready to tell you anything wherever you want to start.
All right. Well, so let's start with a road trip first. So you and Summer have done a lot of travel across the country by car. Tell us about what a normal road trip for you is like. Like, what kind of things do you bring? Do you have to stop for bathroom breaks? Do you keep a litter box in the car? How does that work for you guys?
Okay, well, it depends on how long the trip is. If it's under 3 hours, I just use a larger regular carrier. Or we have, our Summer's blog is sponsored by Sleepy Pod, so we have a couple of round Sleepy Pod beds. So a lot of times I'll use one of those for a trip that's like 2-3 hours. And because it's comfy and it's a larger carrier. And if it's longer than 3 hours, I will set. So I have a Mini Cooper, so I'm limited in room. But I'll set up like a fold-away kennel. I'll set that up in the back seat with a litter box, and I will take breaks, water breaks for her. And I try to set up I try and set things up so I don't have to make a lot of stops for her. But yeah, just if it's shorter, if it's a shorter trip, more like an hour, like in my case, if I'm traveling under 2 hours, say if I'm going from here to San Diego, because I live in Los Angeles, I'll use a regular carrier or her Sleepy Pod carrier, and we'll just go on through. Actually, I'm the one that needs the bathroom breaks more than she does. And this is actually kind of I call this a pro tip as far as the bathroom breaks things go. And I learned it from somebody else who does therapy cat work. And I've actually trained Summer to go to the bathroom before we leave.
Ooh, tell us, how did you do that?
It actually, it's just a matter of setting up the routine. And what I would do is keep an eye on when Summer would use the litter box. When I first brought her home, because I did ask this on a private group we have of therapy cats, and this is what they told me to do, and I did. Every time she would go into the litter box, I would have a phrase that I used every time I saw her do that, which was "go potty," because that's what they use. So easy enough. So I would just say, "Go potty, good, go potty," and I would praise her, and she would be used to hearing me say "go potty" when she was in the litter box. So she would eventually come to understand that meant when I said "go potty" that she was in the litter box. And so when I was starting to take her places, like when I take her to the pet, even if I'm taking her to the pet store, like for like a 45-minute trip to the pet store and back, we always do the same thing. Is I put her in the litter box and I tell her to go potty, and she learned actually fairly quickly that when I did that, she was supposed to go potty, and she does. And it's kind of funny because cats are really smart. I mean, they're smarter than you give them credit for, even if you think they're smart already, because I swear, she seems to understand the length of the trip. And she does. I mean, there are certain signals. Like if I'm packing a suitcase, that usually means we're going somewhere overnight. Uh, and when I bring out certain carriers, like when I bring out the big round sleepy bot carrier, that means we're traveling by car. If I bring out one of her smaller carriers, that means we're traveling by air. And see, it's just like, so she kind of knows by my own routine what the travel ensues.
Yeah.
And when we're going on something that's going to be a longer distance trip or air travel, she knows she has to go potty. I mean, like, yeah, she has to make the extra effort. Like, if I'm just like pulling out the carrier and it's the last minute thing, she knows it's just a therapy cat trip or a day trip or something, you know, we're just making a short stop somewhere for fun. Then she knows she has the option kind of like not go. She doesn't really need to. I'll put her in in the litter box and say go potty, and she'll be like, nah, and she'll just like leave, and she'll go to the bathroom door and go, okay, no, I'm done. I don't need it. But yeah, if we're traveling, she knows by all the signals, and she will actually make a more considered effort to use the litter box because she knows it might be like somewhere between 4 and 10 hours before she sees another litter box.
Yeah.
Especially for air travel, because there's just no way, to easily have a cat use a litter box. They do have doggy restrooms in airports now, but cats. Summer's never used one. I bring her in them so she can see what they are, but they don't compute as restrooms to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you travel with a litter box in the car too? Like if you're going somewhere, does she ever use the litter box? Like if you stop somewhere on a road trip or anything?
She actually has used the litter box when we've traveled by car, and I've had the litter box in the car. And so it's been a while since we've traveled long distance by car on a trip that's been that long, because she prefers air travel to car travel. So I fly with her a lot. And and so I mean, we've traveled by car. We've gone to Las Vegas. We go, the farthest I travel with her by car these days is usually like about San Diego, or like 3 hours distance, like Fresno up north or something like that. If it's anywhere like Sacramento, something that's going to be like an all-day drive, I'll just fly because it's an hour away, and the airport we use is a really quiet airport. So, we can fly out of a smaller airport to go to places like Phoenix, or we can fly to Las Vegas, and it's actually much easier. So
yeah, I know the furthest I've ever gone in the car with mine is about 6 to 7 hours. We did a 6 to 7 hour road trip once, and I brought a carrier or a litter box, and we stopped, and I tried to offer it to them, about halfway through, but they've never once used it.
Yeah. Well, Summer's used to using litter boxes all over the place. And actually, I have a funny story for one of her first trips, just like a day trip outside, was to the LA Feline Film Festival, and she was just 6 months old. And this was before I had trained her to use the litter box before we leave. And so I take her to the LA Feline Film Festival, and I have her in this carrier, and she's like complaining and complaining and complaining, and it's all outdoors, right? It's like it's like this outdoor festival atmosphere, and there's all these booths and everything, and so she really wanted out of the carrier. So I bring her out of the carrier on her leash, and she starts furiously tearing at the grass and tearing at the grass, and she squats. Or actually, she doesn't. She doesn't need to squat. She hunches over because she really needed to go. She needed to poop. And I'm just like, no, because I was totally not prepared because I was a newbie too because I hadn't traveled much with her, with any cats before that. And so
Yeah.
I had to rush her. And so I was unprepared. I had to rush around one of the rescue booths and ask to borrow or ask to use a bag or something so I could scoop it up like a doggy bag and dispose of it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny. But yeah, so she actually but that was the first and last time she actually has gone outside at all. I take her outside and she just will not dig around or anything because she's outside around the house all the time. And she rubs on everything, headbutts everything, puts her scent all over everything. You'd think she would like go to the bathroom outside because what better way to leave a mark? But she's just never done that. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had much luck. Well, I had a very similar thing happen with Sophie. That's what you were saying this summer. I was out on a hike with Sophie, and she just went to the bathroom, and I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a bag. I was not expecting that. And now Sophie will usually go to the bathroom anytime we take her out on a hike. She's the only one. Kylo has never tried it. I can't get him to do it. So it's very interesting how the cat's personality comes into play with that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, a lot of cat travel really, and how you go about it, and what sort of modifications you have towards how you do it, really depends on the cat's personality. It also depends on your relationship with the cat, because if your cat really, really, really trusts you, it makes things a lot easier. If you have a skittish cat that doesn't even fully trust you, then it just makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
So a lot of traveling with your cat, actually, I'd say how it works sort of starts from the moment you bring the cat home for the first time, because if you work really hard to establish a really good relationship with your cat, and to make sure that the cat trusts you and knows you're safe and you're not going to do anything scary or mean to the cat, depending on the cat, that makes it more effort or less effort, depending on what the cat's gone through before you bring it home. The easier it makes traveling with a cat.
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, and it's hard to say sometimes because, my dad had a cat for many years, and after he passed away, we wound up with a cat living upstairs. At the time, I had 3 cats here, and I'm very conscious of the dynamics in a cat family, and I thought I had things really well balanced in my 3 cats, and I didn't want to bring another cat into the mix and possibly mess things up. And I originally was going to find another home for Smokey, and so I had her upstairs while I was looking for a home for her, and I would keep her separate from the other 3, and I would go visit her up there and take care of her upstairs separately. But what happened was the guy I was living with at the time, we split up, and Smokey really preferred men to women because of my dad. She was my dad's cat, and she really liked Brian a lot. So I convinced Brian to take her, because he not only moved out of my house, he moved out of state to Nashville. So he wound up moving with Smokey to Nashville. And this was a cat that had sort of basically lived by herself upstairs for several years. And, really didn't see very many people, indoor only. But she loved Brian, and she really trusted Brian. And so this trip to, from LA to Nashville might have been traumatic for another cat, but Smokey really enjoyed it. It was
That's
really
awesome.
interesting. Yeah, because you know, he would check into the hotel room and Smokey would just make herself at home, and she just loved hanging out with Brian. All, you know, it was just like the two of them traveling together. It was really a fun experience for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So you know, and it's because of, you know, they had a good relationship right from the start. So that really helped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot. That's important, like pretty much any aspect of adventuring with cats, you know, whether you're road tripping or flying or hiking or whatever, that bond and that sense of trust is so important.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, and it's really important when you're traveling with cats because you know, cats are very routine oriented, and if you take them out of their routine, it's really disorienting for them. And so you really need to figure out a way to make them feel secure in an insecure situation.
Yeah.
And like for example, like when you travel, when I travel with Summer, I try and bring things that are familiar to her, like a familiar bed, or you know, just you know, things that smell like her and that smell like home. I
Yeah.
use the same litter that we use at home. You know, I
Yeah, these things are important.
yeah, all that sort of stuff. I just try and you know, make things as familiar as possible. I'll bring her favorite toys, you know, that sort of thing. You know, just like some of the food I feed her like has to be, you know, frozen. You know, it stays in the freezer, it's refrigerated, so I can't feed her that. You know, other than that, I try and, you know, meals like, you know, the same sort of food so it doesn't like upset her. Although there are a few. See, the thing is, like with Summer, since we travel so much, Summer actually has her own travel routines, not just her home routines. She has travel routines because, like, if you do something that you're going to do often with your cat, whether it's travel or anything else, if you make it a routine and you do things a certain way in a certain order with certain things, then the
Mm-hmm.
cat, it becomes familiar to the cat and it becomes comfortable to the cat. And so we have her travel routines, and she has some travel food that she mostly only gets when she travels that she happens to really like. Because I feed her like, you know, for her main meal I usually feed her like pouch food, because pouch food, um, it's lighter than canned food, so it's easy and it's easier to pack because it's flatter. And so
Mm-hmm.
I for her wet food, I bring the pouch food a lot of times when we travel, and she really likes it. So it's kind of exciting to her because it's kind of like a treat. You know, it's like, yeah, when you travel, you have your travel food that you get to, you know, get to eat, whether it's like you're stopping at a gas station or it's just like there's like a chain restaurant that you always stop at on the way and you never eat at when you're in town, that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
so that's like her version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, well, what if your cat hates riding in the car? What kind of tips would you give to someone who wants to road trip with their cat? How can they prepare or maybe get their cat used to riding in the car and try to like conquer that version?
Well, a lot of times one of the main reasons cats hate driving in the car is because the only place they ever go is the vet,
Yeah.
you know? And and if that's their only experience of being in the car, yeah, duh, you're gonna. I mean, if the only time you ever went out of your house was to go to the doctor, and the doctor was sticking like, you know, a thermometer up your butt, you know, and poking and prodding you, and not letting you know why they were doing what they were doing to you, you know, yeah, you would hate that too. So
Yeah.
you know, the best thing you can do is, like I said, a lot of times it takes some preparation, like, you know, from the time you bring the cat home. And just like, you know, do things with your cat that don't involve, you know, going to the vet. And I would just say, just take your cat around the block in the car, you know, and just like, you know, like, you know, put your cat, you know, because you always have to put your cat in the carrier, but put the cat in the carrier, put it in the car, like, just make a routine out of the same sort of thing. Just drive a block away or something, park the car, bring the cat out of the car, give them treats or give them their special treat or something, and just like get them acclimated to like being in the car, making it a pleasurable experience, or just like if they're too freaked out being in the car for just a block, just like to eat the treats, and just bring them out the carrier and comfort them, pet them, and tell them it's your special time together and they have nothing to be afraid of, and and just keep on making a routine of it, and show them that they're not going to come to any harm. And not every cat is comfortable doing things like going to pet stores or going to Joann Fabric or whatever, because our Joann's happens to be like pet friendly, or pet friendly places nearby, or going to the park or whatever, or adventuring. But if you can get the cat at least to like look at the car like it's not like a terrible thing. And one thing I actually do with Summer, even though it's not really necessary for her, but she has different carriers for different purposes. And she has one carrier that's completely dedicated to nothing but taking her to the vet. So that she never has any negative experiences with the other carriers. So when I pull out one of the other carriers, she knows that she's not going to the vet, And, if I eat it, she doesn't care if she goes to the vet or not. But, the downside to that is like when you take out the vet carrier, the cat definitely knows they're going to the vet, But,
Yeah.
But if you have a carrier that's like for for like fun times, then at least they know they're not going to go somewhere horrible.
Yeah.
Try, I try and like, make as many positive associations with traveling and being in the car as possible, so I can acclimate the cat to that.
Yeah, and like taking that back one step further, just like leaving the carrier out in your house all the time, so that your cat starts to see it as like a bed. Like you mentioned, sleepy pods. We have those too, and we've got them all over the house. We probably have 6 or 7 sleepy pods around the house, and I can find the cat napping in them at any time. And so when it's time to go in the car, it's just like riding in their bed, so they're comfortable with it.
Yeah, I do that too. It just I have so many like carriers I can't. I have one cat and like 7 carriers. It's crazy. But yeah, I try to I leave carriers out, and so and the other thing too. A lot of times the way a cat reacts depends on the person. So a lot of times a person, when they have to get the cat in the carrier and take them, so they get nervous.
Yeah.
And it rubs off on the cat, because cats are really sensitive to what their persons are going through. I mean, if they know the person is nervous, they sense danger.
Yeah.
So you've got to like really calm. I mean, like my cats, my older cats that have since passed away, whenever I had to take them to the vet, like people always have. I would always hear like friends of mine having problems like trying to catch their cats and having to dig under the bed for them and pull them out and stuff. And I never had that problem with my cats, because I would just like, matter of fact, grab them and throw them in the carrier and just take them out. And it wasn't like, I didn't like stress out about it. Like, oh, I'm so nervous. I have to grab this cat now. Oh, like that. I would just be like, okay, you're going to the vet, and don't even think you're, going to make it an issue. I just grab them, throw them in the carrier and take them, and not even think twice about it. And, they didn't even have time to think about, oh, I should hide now or whatever. It just, I mean, and as a result, they would like, they would complain on the drive over to the vet, but it's not like they would be panicked.
Yeah.
Either, because, I wasn't like all nervous.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what you do with your cat, as far as like, your attitude, how you're feeling inside. I mean, you have to like, learn as a person just to be sort of zen about the whole travel thing, about the whole car thing, about the carrier thing, and about your, about how your cat's going to react. Because if you're worried that your cat is going to react a certain way, chances are your cat is going to react exactly that way. It just
Yeah.
happens. It just, it's like you're creating it in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because your cat can read your signals. They can, I mean, cats are, really, their senses are very sensitive. I mean, I would not be surprised if, like, a person who's really nervous or kind of scared or something sends off a scent that only animals can detect. Because,
Probably.
yeah, we probably do, because cats just know if you're nervous or what you're going through. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody that's been really sad and had their cat come up and comfort them kind of knows that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because cats are really in tune with what people are going through. And if the person's like, furious and freaking out and stuff, the cat's really worried that they're going to be, harmed, which is why cats are fearful sometimes,
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's not directed at them, it's just like it will scare them. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to, like, really learn to be more zen yourself, and it really helps your relationship with your cat, and eventually it will help you travel better with your cat, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it really helps too, because like with air travel, that's like a really the easiest, actually, the easiest part of air travel is the flight, when the cat's just in the carrier under the seat in front of you. That's the easy part. The hard part is everything else.
Yeah.
you know because, like, you've had experience. It's just like, when you're going through TSA, you have to take the cat out of the carrier.
Yeah. And they even made me take the harness and leash off too, both times I was flying.
Yeah, and I haven't had that experience. They've let me leave the harness and leash on my cat, but it really, it really can be nerve wracking, and that's when you really have to pull out all the stops in your Zen attitude.
Yes. And that's
Because
easier
if you
said than
freak out, I
done.
mean, the cat's going to be struggling even worse than it would be otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to really be Zen. I mean, Summer loves everything about being in the airport. I mean, I take her out the carrier for the TSA, and she's just like, I mean, she thinks like the ramp where you put your luggage through. She almost thinks that's a catwalk. No, you don't go there. I'm supposed to hold you and walk through there. I mean, because people always stare at her when I bring her out of the carrier. And she's a retired show cat and a celebrity cat and everything. So and one of the reasons she is because she loves attention.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, at the airport, she gets lots of attention, especially when I'm taking her out of her carrier at TSA. It's like usually she gets a lot of admiration from at least one or two TSA people that happen to like cats, or at least like she's just an unusual looking cat. So, wow, that's a really beautiful cat. And she's just like, yes, I am, but, but yeah, it just, you have to really be at your calmest when you are doing that part, because it's
Yeah.
just really hard, because it's something your cat will never experience any other way, shape, or form. I mean, it's not something you can really prepare your cat for. And I mean, taking a trip every week to Home Depot is still not going to prepare your cat for
No.
what they've been doing TSA.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the subject of flying, can you tell us a little bit about, like, I know you can't really practice flying or going through security, but what what should someone expect if they're flying with a cat? How does that process work? And what kind of tips do you have for someone who might be flying with their cat?
Well, my first tip is to book as far in advance as possible, and immediately let the airport know, and let the airline know, and each airline has their own different protocol for pets, that you are carrying a cat with you, because a lot of airlines a lot of times airlines will have a limit as to how many pets they can have in cabin, and you want to travel in cabin with your cat. Just no exceptions. I mean, it just, unless it's like something you just absolutely cannot avoid. Like when my friend Coco had to travel to Sweden with her animals because she was moving there to be with her new husband. They had to travel in cargo, but if there's if unless there's absolutely no way you can get around it, you travel with the cat in cabin. And you have to let the airline know right away to make sure that they have room for your cat to be in the cabin with you. And make sure that your carrier is airline approved, and like scour the airline's website to see what the dimensions are, because just because the carriers the company that makes that carrier says that it's airline approved and you can take it on a plane, I would only believe that if it fits the measurements that the airline says. I mean, rules change all the time, and
Yeah.
seats keep on getting smaller, and the
Yes.
area under the seat keeps on getting smaller. So yeah, it's always double check. In fact, even before you book your flight, see what airlines that you're probably going to be booking a flight with, and see what the dimensions are for their carriers, and make sure that you have that carrier.
Hmm.
And the moment you have everything, all the carrier, the flight booked, the pet, the pet thing taken care of, the approved with the airline, and you've paid your fee, they
Yes.
do require a fee. Sometimes they don't make you pay until you get there, but like luggage or whatever. But
Mhm.
just know what the fee is going to be, because that's going to be added onto your flight. And then it's just whatever that carrier is, do what you would normally do to make your cat comfortable with the carrier. Leave the carrier out, whatever. Get your cat used to being in there, and like with any sort of travel, see what you can bring that smells like home. I mean, if you have like a little blanket you can put in the carrier that smells like them, just or have a blank, like a small, like something that they can leave a lot of their fur on, like something like felt, or was it something soft? A
Mhm.
soft blanket that they can leave their fur on, that they like to nap on, something like that. Let them sleep on that, so you can take that with you.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, personally, it's never really made a difference this summer, but I know it makes a difference with a lot of other cats. It's just like, if you have fell-away spray, you can use that to help, calm them down. A rescue remedy also helps. Although here's a rescue remedy secret that just something you need to remember if you're flying. As there's two different kinds of rescue remedy. There's the
Mhm.
regular rescue remedy, and then there's the so-called pet-friendly
Pet.
rescue remedy. It's got glycerin on it. And the first time I tried using that with
Oh,
Summer, it's just like I just put it on my hands and I rubbed it on Summer. That was fine. It was fine for Summer. The only problem was residue was left on my hands, and since it was glycerin, they had to take me aside and go through all my luggage, because I, I registered, like the glycerin registered on
yeah.
their safety check, and so they had to make sure I was safe. I mean, Summer thought it was the best thing in the world, because, like I said, she's a very outgoing cat, and she was just like, "Oh, here I am watching them do all this stuff," and and she just took it in stride. And I'm saying, "Oh, that was so stupid of me." So, if I use rescue remedy, I use the kind with alcohol, and I just don't put it directly on her. I put it I put droplets of it around the carrier. You know.
Yeah. That's a good tip. I didn't realize the pet kind had glycerin in it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, don't put don't use the glycerin if you're flying. You use the glycerin rescue remedy for car travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, just try, and just try and make things smell as familiar as possible. The carrier, a blanket, you know, find out, bring their favorite treats with you. all that sort of thing. It just, yeah, I mean, I don't know what flying's going to be like once, because I haven't flown since the pandemic. The last time somewhere I flew was in December of 2019. And so I know by the end of the year, we probably will be flying again. But yeah, I don't know how protocols will change with the, with, with the, boarding at the gate and stuff, because summers used to being outside of the carrier once we get to the gate, most cats, I would not recommend that unless they're experienced travelers, and not every airport will let you do that either.
Yeah.
And but just that's one of the reasons you bring their favorite treats, is like so you can give them some treats while you're waiting to board.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to keep them, do what you can to keep them happy. And just pet them, whatever. Just open up the carrier and pet them. If they're like a little bit too stressed out, just sometimes it's better to just leave them alone if they're really stressed out, and just let them, just not even open up the carrier.
Yeah.
I mean, it really varies. And this is another pro tip. People sometimes want to give their cats drugs, and there's a warning about that, because sometimes, like the vet will give you some drugs to, will give you something to drug your cat for a flight, and sometimes it will do exactly the opposite of what it's supposed to do. It will agitate them instead of instead of calm them down and make them drowsy. And so I personally would avoid that as much as possible, because you don't know how it's going to affect them. Sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
I read an article once of somebody that had two cats that she was traveling with by air, and she gave them both drugs, and one cat, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It calmed the cat down. The other cat had agitated, and the cat was like twice as freaked out the whole time. So
Yeah.
you don't really know until you're in the middle of it how the cat's going to react.
Yeah, that's true. I guess to combat that, you could, if you really feel like you need to give your cat medication, you could test it before, like at
You can
home.
test it beforehand. Yeah, at home. If you really think the cat's going to need it, if they're extremely skittish, semi-feral, or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because a cat like that, actually, if your cat's really, a skittish cat, I would actually recommend just sometimes the less you pay attention to them, the better, because a skittish cat, sometimes the more attention you pay to them, the more nervous it will make them, because they know something's up, and it will make them kind of what's going on, like that. And the less you pay attention to them, the more they'll think that nothing really that bad is going on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, when you do have a cat that's nervous and skittish, your instinct is to be more comforting, and sometimes that's worse, because that's not what you normally would do.
Yeah.
So when the cat sees you behaving differently, they think that something that's not part of their routine, and something that's something that's going to be kind of scary is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would the person be comforting you unless it was going to be something that was going to freak you out? I mean, if you
Yeah.
think from the cat's perspective,
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, yeah.
Um, well,
Let's
what
see.
about as far as takeoff and landing when you're in flight? Because I mean that affects our ears. I mean, if you
Yeah,
yawn or chew gum or whatever, what do you do for summer on a flight? What can you do to help cats with the pressure changes?
crunchy treats. Crunchy
Yeah.
treats. And sometimes, I mean, if your cat's hopefully if your cat's not so freaked out that they won't eat treats, then just give them a crunchy treat. Also, if you give them, if you bring a little eyedropper, and you can put a drop, you can put some water down their throat, and they can swallow. That also will help their ears. And sometimes they don't even need it. I mean, Summer and I have done takeoffs and landings, and sometimes I give her something, and sometimes I don't. I mean, it just she doesn't seem to doesn't seem to make that big of a difference. With her, I just give her a crunchy treat because that's all she really needs. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that's actually the best thing to do for them. A crunchy treat or an eye dropper of water, and you know, like I said, if they're if they're really nervous and you're really scared that they're going to try and bolt out of the carrier when you open it, don't even do it though.
Yeah.
Because that the last thing you need is to have your cat running around the cabin and causing a scene. And yeah, I mean it's happened with people. I mean I just I know dozens and dozens of people that have brought their cats to shows, and sometimes they have to fly them there. And everybody's has their own crazy stories of cats getting out, or or doing something crazy, or you know going to the bathroom. I mean, I remember one time I wasn't with Summer at the time. I was by myself, and the woman next to me had a cat, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And the cat soiled itself.
Oh,
Luckily at the very end of the flight.
ah,
But yeah, just I felt so bad for that woman though. It's just 'cause she had to deal with that after she got off the plane.
yeah. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that's my recommendation. And one thing about traveling I want to get into, since I know we're getting fairly late into the hour here, is the hotel room, because
Mhm.
it one of the things my breeder, my breeder, Summer's breeder told me to do when I first brought Summer home, and I wasn't experienced with having a cat in a hotel room, and this is really something you need to do every time you're in a hotel room for the first time with your cat. Every time you check in, is before you open the carrier or do anything, or you open up your suitcase, you put everything down and you immediately scour the whole hotel room. You look under the bed if it's not like a platform bed, or you look behind. Most platform beds have a space behind the headboard that's
Mhm.
I mean, you look everywhere, every nook and cranny, behind every table and desk and cabinet, for anything that might be dangerous to your cat. I mean, my Summer's breeder found a switchblade once. You know,
Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah, and Summer would not have been interested, but I looked under a bed once and found male enhancement pills. She would not have eaten those, but I mean, you never know what you were going to find. One time I looked under a bed and I found that sort of gauze piece that is usually stapled to the bottom of box springs. That
Oh
had
yeah.
come that had come loose. I had to stuff something under there so that Summer didn't crawl in there, because a cat's first instinct is always to crawl into the bed. They
Yeah.
will do that. And then if it's a platform bed, and there's look for that space, and just stuff pillows so the cat can't crawl back in there. Trust me, it's just you've got to really stuff the pillows in there really tightly, because Summer has gotten behind you know the headboard, that little
Mhm.
cranny, and the smallest, leaving the smallest space open, and she will just do that to spite me, because she
Yeah.
knows she knows I do what I'm trying to do, because she doesn't really care. I mean, it doesn't take that much to get her out, but yeah, just try and in any space that you think your cat may try and crawl in, it just totally just try and seal it off from them getting in there. And yeah, a lot of times with the platform beds, I wind up with one pillow for myself, and all the other pillows are stuffed behind the headboard. But
Yep, I've been there.
yeah, but I scour the whole room to see what could possibly cause trouble for the cat.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if and also like a lot of times, like if there's a pull out, like a couch that's a pull out bed, or like a chair that like leans back or whatever. Be careful, especially if your cat's not used to seeing those at home. Be careful of using those, and know where your cat is before you like put them back or pull them out, because the cat might be inside of the apparatus. And also the other thing I do is I like look all over to see where I'm going to put the litter box. And one thing I do to make things easier for cleanup is I bring puppy pads, and I put I put like a large size puppy pad underneath the litter box, because summer will scatter litter, and I don't know any cat that doesn't scatter litter at least a little bit.
Yes.
And also like I will put I will tape like another puppy pad across on the wall behind the litter box, in case like there's any accident, over spillage or anything with she uses the litter box.
Yeah.
And which rarely happens, but just in case.
Yeah.
So I use that, and I tape it up with painter's tape, because that's I bring like a disposable litter box, litter that she's familiar with from home, and painter's tape and some puppy pads. And that's like my little, like her little bathroom thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I always bring like a little hand broom and dustpan too, so that I can
Yeah.
clean any
Yeah.
litter.
Yeah, I pack that too. So yeah. So that's because when you're bringing a cat into a hotel, it, my credo is to leave the place as clean as you showed up, because like you don't want to like be one of those guests that like creates some disaster and makes the hotel never want to have cats there again.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to be good cat ambassadors.
Yeah, we totally do, because make it good for the next cat family to show up. Don't make it so that the hotel says no, we aren't having cats anymore, because our our guests that have brought cats have like left the our rooms in really horrible condition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I follow this motto. I
Yeah.
pretty much feel like I always do the housekeeping job before we leave, like make
Yeah.
sure I take out the litter box, don't leave the litter box behind for them to clean up. Take that out, sweep,
Yeah.
do all those things so there's like no trace that a cat was even there.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things I do whenever possible too. Is I scope around the outside of the hotel to see if there's an outside bin where I can dispose of the litter box. So I don't even have to like leave it anywhere like inside the hotel. I just want to take it out, and it's easier with like a motel type of hotel than it is like with something that's like 10 stories high.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like if I do have to leave the litter box in there, because it's one of those hotels that's 10 stories high and I can't find a really good convenient disposal place, I mean, I leave everything. I bag up the litter, tie it off, leave it inside the disposable litter box, just everything just really neat. All they have to do is pick it up with their gloves and throw it, on the, whatever their thing is, that thing that
The trolley thing.
Yeah, the trolley. Yeah, and just, and they don't even, they don't really even have to deal with it other than picking it up and putting it down and just like disposing of it when they, take it to wherever they dispose of all the hotel trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, like all the things that I always joke when Bobby and my husband travel with the cats, like the things I have to pack for them. Their suitcase is bigger than mine, and I have to bring things like a dustpan and broom, trash bags for the litter box. All these like miscellaneous things. It's a lot, but it's worth it.
Oh, it's totally worth it. It's just like I love traveling with Summer. She's my buddy, and she really enjoys it. The only thing with Summer, every cat has their own hotel routine once they get used to hotels. It's like at night she sleeps with me through the night. She's really good about that. except in hotels. She always gets up at 6 in the morning and wakes me up because she's all excited.
Yes, Kyla does
Jumping
that
all over
too.
me and purring and like, get up, it's time to have fun. I'm just like, oh.
Yep, Kyla does that too.
Yeah. 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 But yeah, so yeah, if somebody has a cat that's really, most cats like I've discovered most cats really enjoy being in hotel rooms. If you have a cat that doesn't like hotel rooms, the best thing to do is to keep them in the smallest space possible. So, confine them to the bathroom if being in a hotel room is too overwhelming for them. Just put them in the bathroom and keep the doors shut and just, and just let them have their own little space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, as far as housekeeping, either be in there yourself and put the cat in the carrier while housekeeping goes through and cleans. Take the, if you're not going to be there, take the cat with you, or just don't have housekeeping there at all. And always have the do not, in addition to the do not disturb sign when I'm not in the room, I leave a sign, I will leave a sign outside that says cat inside, do not enter. So I don't want people, because I don't want anybody in the hotel room when I'm not there, when Summer is there.
Yeah.
If I need somebody to come in, there's something wrong with the TV or there's something wrong with an electrical switch or whatever, or any other technical problem. Yeah, I want it taken care of while I'm in the room with Summer, And if she was, she's really friendly, and I just I just shut the door behind whoever it is, and I just let her wander around. But if it's a cat that doesn't trust people, or it's not used to being around a lot of different people or new people, I would put the cat in the carrier while there's a stranger taking care of maintenance or whatever in your room. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has any questions about traveling with cats, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We're going to start to wrap things up, but if you definitely want to address any specific questions that you have. So while we wait to see if anyone has any questions, Janiss, can you tell us, where can people find Summer online if they want to follow you guys' adventures?
Summer is all over the place online. She has her blog, which she does pretty much every day, which is sparklecat.com. And so, she's on her blog most often. And she's on Facebook at Sparkle Cat Fans is her Facebook page. And she's on Instagram as Summer's Travels. And she's also on YouTube. You can find her YouTube on her website. So you'll find that there. And she's also she's on TikTok as Summer Samba.
Summer Samba.
Yeah, that's her newest place is the TikTok, and she just started there, and we're kind of enjoying that. So
yeah, that's awesome. I definitely. Guys, check out Summer's blog. I've been a longtime reader of Summer's blog before Summer was even around, back when it was Sparkle. And they always have such cute photos and tips about cats and traveling with cats and stuff like that too. So I definitely recommend checking out sparklecat.com. There's a lot of cute and informational stuff there. And there's Summer, always looking so stylish and cute.
Yeah.
I think she's the most fashionable cat ever.
Yeah, she's unusual. She likes wearing things, so most cats don't, but she thinks it's special.
Yeah. Oh, you're so sweet, Summer. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of meeting Summer in person a few times, and she's so sweet.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of meeting Kylo and Sophie both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess Summer and Sophie even met each other, I think, at one of the conferences. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Janiss and Summer, for being with us tonight. I think you shared so many insights that I should be helpful to everybody. And if anybody has any additional questions, always feel free to reach out to either one of us, I'm sure. And yeah, thank you so much, Janiss.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to ask on Summer's Facebook page, or and anywhere else. Get a hold of Summer on any of our other platforms, and ask, and we'll try to help, because that's what we like to do.
Yeah. Well, that's it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you want to continue any discussions about cat travel, be sure to join our Facebook group, KittyCatGO Adventure Team. Our next episode of KittyCatGO Live will be Wednesday, July 14th at 8 p.m. We'll be talking about camping with cats, and our guest will be Chloe LaChapelle. You guys probably know her cat Spiky on Instagram, Spiky Spy Cat. So that should be a fun episode. I hope you guys will join us. But I guess that's it for now. Thanks again. I hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you around.
Okay, bye.